and we're not on the agenda, there's no problem. No, I'm serious. I mean, we can be there as long as it's in the public.
There's Cheryl in Australia.
Oh, she's still there.
She's still down.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hello.
How's things down under?
Sorry, you guys are a little bit hard to hear right now. I don't know if it's on my end. It may just be.
Oh, we need to be over here too, so.
Does that sound better when we talk into the microphone? A little bit.
Yeah, I'm adjusting my sound characteristics on my end too to make sure it's not something I'm doing wrong here. But anyway, it's good to see you all.
Likewise. How was the wedding?
Weather, we have gotten so much rain, but we have today sunshine. So, but it's been beautiful. Just a little more rain on this trip than I would maybe have liked, but it's winter, so.
Yeah.
This is just for my mail. Did I see the other Jack show up? No. Get the Jack towel.
Recording in progress.
That's fine. I'll ask if you don't mind. Oh, yeah. Let's give it another minute or so for Mr. Tuttle to show up.
There's a link. Get on. Ready about it.
In general, Jack, do you want a paper copy moving forward?
No, usually I don't. With the website.
Okay, without, so when the website's back up, which you're happy to stay.
I liked it.
Okay, good enough. Yes. There it is. I was just getting ready to call the meeting to order. Yes. No, that's okay. I mean, it's 2 minutes late. I think we can live with that. Do you need a paper version?
Yeah. What's the meeting I need
Do
to?
you want? Thank you. And if you could either bring the microphone to you, Jack. That's for you. Let's wait for Dave to get back and then. They all done with somewhere at your end of the street now. Okay.
agenda. There's that one.
All right, at this point, we will call the meeting to order and stand for the pledge of allegiance. See the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very much for joining us for our regular July meeting. At this point, we did not have closed session, so we will move to approval of the agenda. Are there any substantive changes to the agenda that any councilors wish to make? Any public comment on the agenda? All right, seeing none, can we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I move that we accept the agenda.
I second that. All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We do not have minutes due to our website being down at this time, so we will move the approval of minutes to a future meeting. And we will move on to council reports and committee assignments. Ms. Kelly, do you have anything to share for today's meeting?
I do not this time around. Thank you for.
Yep. Mr. Tuttle?
This week I do not have anything to.
Wes?
I just have a couple of things. This corridor project between Eureka and Arcade has been going on for an eternity, I think. But they said they are actually going to begin construction by the end of this year. So we may see some changes. Maybe the overpass will begin coming around. They also talked about the railroad and the coal train that was that a chance of coming through? And they said that is absolutely out. That will not happen. However, the corridor they're going to use to put the trails in is still in question. The skunk train and other groups are still fighting to try to keep the railroad. So we'll see how that comes out. But that should be, there should be some answers soon. HCOG is providing housing along with transportation. So we have some funding for the cities to work on the housing projects, which are mandatory. And I believe we're going to hear about that tonight with some money coming in, or maybe it's a case part of the consent agenda, but will be money coming to it for us to try to tackle some housing issues. The airport is going to have a lot of changes coming up. Cal Poly and our CDA are going to work on a Tesla battery mini grid for backup power, and there's $1 million or some grant to help get this underway. So we may see some nice changes at the airport over the next year or so, year or two. Yeah, it's just a short break answer. Part of the HCOG, that's it.
Any questions for Jack? All right, I attended the Humboldt Transit Authority, and this month in HTA received a $38 million grant, which is going to be used to switch all of its vehicles to either hydrogen or solar or electric, powered by solar. And they secured another fairly large grant to reconfigure their property to account for new fueling stations, more buses, that sort of thing. So big changes happening with Humboldt Transit Authority on zero emissions. Right now, anyway, they'll be poised to meet zero emissions ahead of the California mandate, which I believe is 2028. That is for the Humboldt Transit Authority. And then I do want to make a mention to the counselors to consider this Friday from 10 to 12 is the Churai management team. Jack West is currently a member of the management team, but the other position was held by Mr. Grover, who has turned in his resignation. So if anyone else is interested, I invite you to reach out to the city staff. Actually, I believe we're going to get the Zoom address in our email. So if you're available 10 to 12 to check out the management team, and that way you could make an informed decision on whether or not you want to volunteer to be a council member of the representative rather of the management team. So that is the end of my report. At this point, let's move on to staff reports.
Okay, so with staff reports, we're going to start with law enforcement. And we do have on our Zoom call Lieutenant Miller and Lieutenant McCall.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you. It's been a couple months, but I'm finally back from the East Coast. So give you guys your report out for the month of June. Overall, your calls for service were down 9%. You had a total of 177 calls for service compared to 195 in May. We took 13 reports, 6 felony investigations, 8 misdemeanor investigations, and resulted in 4 arrests. We had 2 assault cases. Vehicle or residential burglaries are up by 2. In June, you had 7, and in May, we had 5. Had 5 vandalisms, 7 disturbances, 2 trespass or prowler calls, 5 alarm calls, 13 patrol checks, 3 suspicious persons or vehicles, 5 unwanted subjects or illegal camps, and 4 traffic stops or vehicle investigations, and 123 miscellaneous calls for service after that. Overall, it looks like all the numbers are, for the most part, down pretty significantly, with the exception, unfortunately, of the vehicle and residential burglary stats, and that was up by 2. So looking not too bad, actually. So as mentioned, we have Josh McCall on here. He's on Zoom tonight, for those of you who can see him. So I guess I report out that this will actually be my last council meeting. I'm being transferred back to Eureka, and Josh McCall is going to be the new commander for the North area. His promotion takes effect on the 24th, and that's when I'll go back to Eureka also of this month. So just want to say that this has been great working with you guys. I think that we've made a lot of progress, and but you're in good hands. Josh is a good man. He's been a sergeant up in the North Command before. I supervised him before, and I think he's going to do a great job for you guys. So.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Miller, for your certainly for your service to the Trinidad area, and welcome, Josh McCall.
Thank you.
Some hands up. Anita, do you have a question, comment for Lieutenant Miller or for Josh?
Yes, I just had a general question. In looking at the June law enforcement report, there's just 2 points I wanted to discuss, or I had questions about. And I'm just concerned about law enforcement's possible response time to infractions. So I don't know, I'm just reading into this, but I looked at the report and there were 2 incidents that it stated were unable to locate. And then 4 incidents which stated gone on arrival, and 6 incidents where it was stated either quiet, on arrival, or departed. So this first question I had is, it looks like there's 12 incidents in June that weren't investigated by law enforcement because the people weren't there or the animals weren't there. So I just had a question about that. And then I had one more request.
Okay. Yeah, you bet. That's a good question. So that's really not uncommon to see those kind of dispositions, and that's what we call them. I mean, throughout the county, we're a very large county. All of our calls are prioritized. So depending on what the nature of the call is and the availability of the deputies, sometimes, yes, it'll definitely take us longer to get to certain calls versus ones that threaten, life or property, for example. But those dispositions that you bring up are, it doesn't mean that we don't investigate them. It just means that when the deputies do get on scene, it's either quiet or they can't find what the problem was, or we get information maybe from some witnesses or something like that, or some reporting parties that they've moved along since, before we arrived on scene. So, and that's why you see those dispositions.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And then the second point I wanted to, or it's just a request, it's not a point. I was wondering, when we get the reports as a community, instead of listing the police code or types or the police types, if you could use a meaningful word to describe the incident, because I was looking up some of those codes and I couldn't even decipher what that meant. So again, for us, in layman's terms, we don't understand what these codes mean, and then they're hard to find. And that way it gives us as a community members, we get an idea of what's going on. I appreciate the report and the explanation. That really helped me to hear the details. But that way, if I can look at the report, I can find out, oh, there's been these type of incidents happening in my community.
Yeah. So, and you know what? I've heard that complaint before. Not necessarily complaint, just concern.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it before. So these reports, a lot of them are generated from our records management system. So we don't necessarily have all the controls over what they say and don't say.
Sure.
Also, a lot of these statistics that you hear us talk about and that you see in the reports that you get, those go to the state and federal government too for tracking. So that's why they have to be kind of in the code.
Right.
But I get what you're saying about the codes, because I'm doing this for 27 years now and I get confused on the codes sometimes. So
there is some I couldn't.
But you know what? Here's the bottom line. At the end of the day, if you do have questions, you can do exactly what we're doing right here, right now.
Right.
You feel free to ask, or you can even, call our stations and ask any of our legal office assistants. Anybody at the front counter can help you out with that too.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I just want to thank Lieutenant Miller. Since you've been coming on board and talking to us, I think it's made a lot of difference to us. I really appreciate you taking the time. I think it's been really helpful. So and hopefully Dr. McCall will also be on board, and we look forward to hearing from him too. So thank you both. The 4th of July has always been kind of an issue for us. Was there anything special about 4th of July this year, or was it pretty common all over, including in Trinidad?
It was pretty much comparable from what I can tell from looking at the statistics and talking to the deputies that were working. This year we did something a little bit different than we've done in the past, where we actually had we worked in conjunction with the fire department, Cal Fire, Arcata Fire, and we actually had units that were out there targeting illegal fireworks. As you can imagine, they were busy. The problem being is that, again, even with people dedicated to respond to just that problem, oftentimes by the time we get there, it's hard to, when you see something go off up in the air and you're like, oh man, that's like 2 blocks from me. And you get over there and there's nothing but crickets 2 blocks away. Sometimes they, believe it or not, they can be pretty elusive. We did have some success, but I honestly, what I saw trending was the same problems that unfortunately I see every year.
Other questions, comments for law enforcement? I do want to welcome you, soon to be Lieutenant McCall. So I don't know if you want to share anything or just say hello to the crew here. For some reason, we cannot hear you. Mike?
Is he muted?
No, he's not muted. Well, we'll just pretend that when we read your lips, you were saying, thanks for having me in Trinidad.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
You'll get to see plenty more of him, so that's good news.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
And our meetings are we always have a meeting on the 2nd Tuesday of each month. Sometimes we'll have an additional meeting on the 4th Tuesday, but always, if you can count on the 2nd Tuesday of each month, we'd appreciate an update. And thank you, Lieutenant Miller, for your service. And Lieutenant McCall, we'll look forward to your service up here.
Thank you, Eli.
All right, do you have more that you staff report?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So as far as the staff report, I do have it in the agenda, but because some people might not have been able to see the agenda, as far as the stormwater project, there's a little bit more of an update than what I had in the agenda. And that is the contractor has been making progress. focusing on stormwater improvements on Van Wyck and Galindo streets, with construction in this area anticipated to be completed next week by July 22nd. Roadwork will be necessary on Van Wyck, Galindo, and Lighthouse Road. Intermittent one-lane traffic should be expected in those areas. The next item I had on there was the Verizon cell towers. So we are currently operating with Verizon out of the Quarry Road Tower and the West Haven Tower. They did remove the tower on Trinidad Head. That was the last tower. We had two others for AT&T and Sprint. Those were previously removed. So now the mission that the city had of taking all the cell towers off of Trinidad Head has been completed. Meanwhile, they've are working on creating native vegetation in that area. And that will be planted as we get closer into the fall. And then the Trinidad Chamber had their Taste of Trinidad, which was a success, about 140 guests in attendance. And the Chamber is planning a mixer in August, possibly on the 10th, and a fish fest for October 8th in the afternoon from 12 to 5. As far as the water system and the use of water in this city, we encourage all residents and water users to conserve water. Meanwhile, we had several leaks. Our leaks this past month were up to 46%. The prior month were 47%. So we knew something drastic was happening. And as a result, we had a homeowner off of Berry Road report one of the leaks, and we were able to get that fixed on June 28th. And then there was another leak on Scenic Drive that we had been following, and we were fortunate enough to get a leak detector who came to the city at no charge and pinpointed the location of that leak. And that was subsequently taken care of on July the 8th. So prior to that, our water daily production from the plant was running from February at 46,000 gallons a day. March was up to 55,000 gallons a day average. April was up to 68,000 a day gallons. And that's when the leak was detected. So it was actually April 25th. And then we didn't find out exactly where that was, at least the second one, until recently. May, the gallons were up to 77,000. In June, up to 81,000 gallons a day. And then in July, after the repairs, after July 8th, the daily production went down to 47,800. So according to our water plant operator, he's saying that with the two repairs, that Trinidad is saving well over 1 million gallons of water each month. So that is a good sign. The water plant, we are converting from having Coleman Engineering to having city staff. That will be taking place during this month and next month. And as far as Leffenholtz Creek, we're going to be getting a reading tomorrow to determine what the water levels are in the creek. And that's basically what I have on that. Let me see what else I had other than water. Oh, as far as our website, the server created problems, and there's 50 other internet and websites that are serviced by the same firm. And those 50 websites have come down because of the server. They're switching servers. It's a lengthy process. They're indicating us that hopefully tomorrow they'll be making some more significant progress. So we're hoping in the near future, possibly by the end of the week, that we can have the website running again. Gabe and I have been monitoring that on a regular basis, trying to get it corrected. And that's all I have. I'll entertain any questions anyone else may have.
Regarding this service that, the leak detecting service.
Yes.
That was supplied by the Department of Water Resources, right?
Yeah, the Department of Water Resources, exactly. And the specific person who came out came from California Rural Water Association through a contract with the Department of Water Resources.
Is that something that we can tap into again, or do we need to, will they only come and look for leaks when we've identified that we're producing far more than we're selling?
Yeah, as needed, whenever we suspect the leak, we could contact them and see if someone's available.
Okay.
According to the guy who came here, he indicated that it was initially set up as a one-time thing. However, depending on funding, that several other places have requested a second time and they were able to send them.
Okay.
So if we find another leak, we'll make that request and hopefully they can come.
Good to know. Any other questions for Eli?
Like, do we know how long that leak has been in existence? Like, have we been?
Well, according to our water plant operator, he says from his records, his daily records, it indicated significant increase in daily daily production for the water plant. And that happened April 25th. So between the leak on Scenic Drive and the leak on Berry Road, either one of them started on April 25th and one came in after that.
Any questions, comments, general public? Anita, looks like your hand is up.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to thank the city manager for facilitating and managing both the stormwater project and repairs for the two major water leaks. During the past few weeks, GR Sundberg has been working on my street, and in order to complete this important project, my husband and I are impressed with GR's expertise, their work ethic, and professionalism. It's been going really smoothly, so it's appreciated. And again, it's just a big shout out to both the city manager and the city for fixing the two major water leaks so quickly. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Thompson, I want to echo your comment regarding GR Sundberg. On my street, there was a pretty significant leak detected after some repair. They were out there until 9, 10 o'clock to get it fixed. So they definitely stand by their work. So I've been appreciating and we have some very old infrastructure. So it's nice to have the experts on hand. Any other questions, comments for Eli?
I have a quick one. Do we have any idea where we are in terms of leaks? So does that change things? So we know if we're now 20% or does it seem to be?
Yeah, we won't know until the end of this month when we read the meters, and then Gabe will be able to get that number. He got me the number today that we're at 46%. So yeah, the encouraging thing is just based upon the daily production that those numbers have gone down significantly because there was a period of time where the water plant was telling me that they had a hard time trying to keep up with the demand for the city. So that the tanks were like, just trying to get them up to 80% was a challenge. Mm-hmm. So now things have eased quite a bit. So it seems like those two fixes were really the problem.
And my memory, Jack, of years past, looking at the production, is that we usually would top out somewhere around 80,000 gallons. Height of the season, July, August. And so the fact that it's come down to 40-something thousand, we'll see that for sure.
Do we have an incentive program to lower our consumption for water users? Have we ever thought about creating a program when we're low, when the frequency is low, to send an email blast out to?
Well, yeah, what we do is we have the stickers that we send out on the water bill and tell people which stage they're in and then what they should be doing in that stage. But beyond that, there isn't any financial incentive other than the fact that, the more people conserve, the less their bill is.
And when we do a rate study, I imagine that topic will come back up. So, keep that one.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Cheryl, I thought I saw your hand up, or was that?
Yeah, it was just a quick question about the water leak. So I know we had the two major water leaks. I didn't know yet if we had any visibility, anybody looking at, like, do we have any idea how many other leaks we have? Or do we have that information yet, Eli?
Yeah, we're just aware of one other leak, and that one is a small leak that is located by the Murphy's, well, the Saunders Plaza. So we have to coordinate with the businesses that are in that one half of the shopping center that are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, thank you.
we're able to coordinate the timing with them, then we'll address that leak. But that's a smaller one, and our priority was actually to fix these two larger ones. And yeah, we'll be addressing that in the future. That's the only real leak that we know of that exists out there right now.
There is a leak in my neighborhood, but it's on the property owner's side of the water system, so it is being addressed. And the property owner was literally turning their water on for an hour in the morning for showering and an hour in the evening for dishes. So that was their solution to saving the water. So a pretty creative way to save water. All right, moving on, with no further questions, make sure there's no hands up, okay? Items from the floor at this time, members of the public may comment on items not appearing on the agenda. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes or less. Comments should be directed to the council as a whole and not to individual council members or staff. Council and staff responses will be minimal for non-agenda items. So at this point, do we have any items from the floor? I gotta look at you because you're one of our public. No comments, no items. Okay. Anyone on the screen? All right. Moving along then to consent agenda. I get to read some more. All matters on the consent agenda are considered routine by the council and enacted in one motion. There's no separate discussion of any of these items. If discussion is requested by any council member, that item is removed from the consent and considered separately. A single opportunity for public comment on the consent. Do we have any public comment on the consent agenda? Wish of the council to remove any item. Seeing and hearing none, we have a motion.
I'll move to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
First by West, second by Tuttle. All those in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving right along. Our first discussion action agenda item is regarding drinking water system emergency intertie agreement, memorandum of agreement between the city of Trinidad and West Haven Community Services District. Mr. Napa, do you want to, or Becky, who is going to introduce this?
Becky, do you want to?
Sure.
Excellent.
Should I go to the mic?
Sure.
Please, just so that everyone can hear and recordings are clear and all that.
This is Becky Price Halls. So the emergency intertie is a facility that's constructed between two water systems, and it allows water systems to provide water to each other in an emergency. And to do that, you need an agreement that specifies many different arrangements between the two systems. And so that's one part of this. The other part of this is the city applied for a grant to construct this intertie that was approved, and for just under $2 million. So the city's the grantee, and West Haven Community Services District will be participating with the city in developing and constructing this intertie. So that's another aspect of the agreement that we're arranging. And it's an interim agreement because there was a lot of material to negotiate, and we didn't quite get everything fine-tuned. But because of the grant schedule and kind of the way the construction season falls in the schedule, it would be really beneficial to the project to get started on the work, which means we need some kind of an agreement with West Haven because they will be taking the lead on the development and construction portion of this project. So there's an interim agreement in your packet, and there's a few items that haven't been completely worked out, and one is you might think definition of the emergency situation would be easy, but there's like a lot of nuances. And so one piece is if the parties want the emergency intertie to be able to be used when one system or the other system is doing scheduled repairs or maintenance, it might be beneficial to have that as a way of not interrupting your service if you're getting water from the other district, if they have it available. And so that was just a comment that came up kind of in our review to be able to give it to the council for the packet. There's another aspect, which is working out all the details of responsibilities and the schedule as far as the grant project goes to construct it. And we're having a meeting with the funder on tomorrow, actually. And so we just couldn't really complete that piece of it until we spoke with them about this. And then there would, of course, be a final review by both the city and the city attorney, and then the West Haven board. And so I guess I'll just ask if there's any questions or clarifications.
Thank you very much. Questions from the council or Becky on this item?
Any growth, West Haven growth concerns? I know there was a big issue in the previous water debates that they didn't want any our water to go over there to grow their community further.
So, so this agreement is just, that's one of the parts of defining an emergency. So this would not provide any kind of water that would allow West Haven to change, you know, they would have to base any growth within their service district on the water they have available, not including Trinidad water. And then the section between the two systems, which is it will be along West Haven Drive, that's not within the city's district or West Haven's district, that cannot have service connections. So there's really not a growth potential. The one additional, I guess, use could be, there will be fire hydrants installed at the code distances. So water could be used for firefighting, but it wouldn't be supporting additional development.
Great, thank you. Other questions, comments for Becky? Okay, questions from the public? All right. Well, thank you very much, Becky, for your presentation. At this point, then, without any questions, I'm very pleased to see this come to fruition. Apparently, long before my time on the council, this was attempted. I'm glad to see that the definition of emergency has been really worked out and that the two districts are working together so well. So at this point, I'll bring it back to council for a motion.
I will move to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement, intertie agreement to the city of Trinidad, West Haven to construct, operate, and maintain an emergency intertie.
I'll second that.
We have a first by West, a second by Tuttle. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And it passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great.
And we look forward to, thanks for letting us know that there's another big meeting tomorrow, and that will, if we can get periodic updates on this as we progress. You said real quick, the season. I'm assuming that this would begin next year after design and all that gets through. I'm sorry, I should have asked why you're still.
That's okay. So what's gonna start is, survey work, design work, the environmental documentation, CEQA. So all that will be done, permitting, and then we could, generally, construction would occur in the dry season.
Right.
So sometime June next year
Okay.
would be when we would schedule, construction to start, assuming we can get all this work done. We're a little behind schedule because it's, with the funder and everything, it just takes a long time to get rolling.
Yeah.
But so it should start next summer. If for some reason that's not possible, the grant probably can accommodate us to construct in the following season.
Okay.
But because this is a drought response project, it's, we would like it to be installed as soon as possible.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on to number 2, accept letter resignation and adopt resolution 2022-13 acknowledging the public service of one David Grover. So we have a letter. I, David W. Grover, do hereby resign from my position in council as effective June 15th. I've thoroughly enjoyed serving and sincerely wish the best for Trinidad's future. So we have a letter. It looks like we're kind of doing this all in one, so we'll move along. We don't have Mr. Grover anymore.
Yeah, we do have him on the iPhone.
Oh, he's on the iPhone.
Yeah. So,
Identify yourself, Mr. Grover. And oddly enough, if you're watching, Dave, right when I mentioned your name, an antivirus ad came up. I'm not sure if they're connected or not, but there we go. Are you with us, David?
I'm texting him right now just to make sure.
People that have technical difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
And he's on the phone, so what is it, pounds 3? I can't remember how to unmute now.
Pound 6.
Pound 6. Can you hear that, David? Well, while he's working out the technical, I'm gonna read this if you don't mind. Whereas David Grover served the council from May 22nd, 2019 through June 2, he embraced his role as a public official and encouraged the community to engage respectfully with one another, promoted accountability and fact-based decision-making processes, and recognized the city staff for their work and dedication. Whereas Mr. Grover kept the environment his top priority, he served as the city's representative to the Redwood Coast Energy Authority and kept the city informed of regional efforts to green the environment. He supported the offshore wind energy and solar installation programs. Whereas Mr. Grover championed initiatives that protected the natural and scenic resources of Trinidad, he voted without hesitation to support programs that kept the general plan update process moving forward and implemented thoughtful planning concepts. He was not afraid to speak his mind on controversial issues that would have an impact on Trinidad for decades to come, and supported water conservation measures to protect the city's water supply during the drought.
New York City's Mayor Turnout, remembering the miracle on the Hudson.
I'm not sure that was for me. That was Mr. Grover?
Yes.
Oh, okay, well, we have 2 iPhones. Oh, that's good. I'm gonna keep reading, Dave. Hopefully you're embarrassed a little bit. Mr. Grover participated thoughtfully in the appointment of council and planning commissioners and made pedestrian safety one of his highest priorities. He was committed to bringing tribal governments together and protect cultural resources, recognized the significance of the Chirai Village site, was committed to working hand in hand with tribal governments, and honored the heritage of all Native Americans. Mr. Grover was committed to the well-being of the community. He provided strong leadership and guidance during discussions related to the city's drinking water system, recognized all voices and opinions, and helped the community find balance on many complicated issues. Mr. Grover honored the past, embraced the future, and inspired his friends and colleagues to keep thinking outside the box. Therefore, the City Council of Trinidad congratulates and thanks David Grover for his wholehearted, dedicated service to the citizens of Trinidad and to the future well-being of the community. Well put. Thank you very much, Mr. Gover, for your service, and we wish you well in continuing the work that you did here with the Green Party in, I believe, Arcata, Humboldt County, and the world. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll be seeing you on campus, Mr. Mayor. Start a Green Party chapter up there soon. So
Let me know, and I'll wear a tie that day.
okay. All right. Thank you again, everyone. It was a pleasure.
I see Miss Anita Thompson's hand is up, so don't go away yet, David.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to thank you, Dave, for all you've done for our community. And not only am I going to miss having you serve on the city council and the water advisory committee, but I'm going to definitely miss having you as my neighbor. And of course, Ted, who's my favorite doggy. Wishing you the best.
Thanks.
Fire.
Thanks for everything, Dave.
Resolution.
Heavily armed officers arrive, some with shields. 36 minutes in, officers are still seen standing in the hallway, guns drawn, but still have not confronted the
Okay.
48.
Yes. Thank you very much. Is that it?
Looks like Cheryl's
Thanks a
got
lot,
some.
Dave. I was just saying, thanks so much for everything.
Okay. Yeah. It's a little
I'll see
tough.
you
I was
around.
having some internet problems. That's like Eli sent me a special link, but yeah, I'll be doing a lot more with the Green Party in Arcata. So good luck with the election in November too.
Thank you much, David. We'll be seeing you around town, as they say.
Thanks, David. Thanks.
All right, so I guess we need a motion to, for this agenda item from one of our counselors.
I move to accept the letter of resignation and adopt resolution 2022-13, acknowledging the public service of David Willard.
I'll second that.
We have a first from West, a second from Tuttle. All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. At this point, we have a general election calendar update and notice of election. Mr. Adams.
Go down to the election. So in the packets. So in all your packets. And it actually is online now too, believe it or not. In all the packets, there's a calendar of events. I'm scrolling down. And each month, as we get closer to November, on all of our city council meetings, I'll be given, brief updates on the next steps for the months ahead. And July is a big month. July is the month that we publish the notice of election, which will come out in this week's Mad River Union. These are legal requirements that the elections code says must occur. We have to publish this notice of election, and the election that will be on in November will include 3 council member seats. And in the report, I noticed those seats, Councilmember Kelly, Tuttle, and the vacant seat left by David Grover. Those 3 seats are 4-year terms. And along with the candidates for city council seats, there'll also be the occupancy tax increase measure. So we published the notice of election. That notice will stay up through August 12th. August 12th is the deadline for July 19th is when the nomination period opens for council candidates, and it closes on August 12th. And the nomination packets that that anyone who's interested in running for office will have to be picked up in person at the city clerk's office. So we're not posting things online, not because our website's down, but because there's a lot of instructions that come along with it. And we want to make sure that we sign off for when folks pick up candidate packets, because when it comes to elections, the devils are in the details. And if you miss one thing, it could disqualify you from having your name on the ballot. And having this sort of white glove treatment during this candidate nomination process is pretty key to a successful nomination. So begins July 19th and ends on August 12th. Other than going around and picking up, getting names, 10 names to nominate you, 10 registered voters to nominate you. There's a few other pieces of paper in this packet that are require some thought, but I mean, in all honesty, it can probably be done in a day if you know your neighbors well. But at the same time, if you want to have your statement in the election the voter information pamphlet, you might have to think about, what you want to say in so many words. So I encourage people who are interested in being nominated, I'd like for them to not look at the August 12th deadline as the true deadline. I would like to see us work together, starting earlier in the week that week, because I also have to verify all of the names of the nominees' signatures are of the nomination paper signatures that you receive. And I need a day to do that. So, and I do that through the elections office. So there's a few steps involved in this candidate nomination process, starting with July 19th and ending on August 12th. And then in the packet, there's a few other deadlines that are shown in the calendar: August 18th, August 22nd. And those two dates, the 18th is in case none of the incumbents file. And right now we've got two incumbents, or two members that have expressed interest in continuing because their terms are short, but no means are they obligated to. And if no incumbents file, then the nomination period extends an additional six days. On August 22nd, we'll be putting a notice out to the public that there will be deadlines for the arguments for and against this measure. I think I missed it. I missed one on there. I think it's August the 18th as well.
Yes.
No, August 12th. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
August 12th is the deadline for nomination packets and also for arguments for and against the occupancy tax increase.
And who does that come? That comes from the city? That comes from?
The arguments for or against can come from anyone in the community.
Yeah.
And if multiple come for either or, the city clerk has the authority to determine which one will be in the voter information packet, which is kind of intense, but hopefully that hopefully we get one of each. So I believe in the resolution for the occupancy tax increase that our city attorney drafted, and that was on the last meeting agenda, there was an item specified that the mayor had the ability and the authority to participate in the drafting of this argument, or designate.
Right.
It doesn't have to be you per se. The council members, as staff can't participate in that process, but council members can.
Okay.
And in the past, during sales tax election, oftentimes all of the seating city council members will sign on to that.
Okay.
So again, August 12th is the deadline for the arguments for and against occupancy tax increase. And then on the 22nd, once the arguments are received on the 12th, then I announce to whoever has submitted an argument for or against, you have an opportunity to write a rebuttal to either one of the arguments made. So between now and middle of August, let's just say the end of August, is kind of when the rubber hits the road for this election. And then after the August deadlines are up, we can kind of coast for a while. So again, I think the main point at this meeting is to announce get the word out that people are interested, anyone resident who is interested in running for city council this fall, it's go time.
Now's the time. Okay.
And then for anyone who happens to be listening or wants to participate in the discussion of filing an argument for and against the occupancy taxes, that's something else that this venue here is to express.
I would just add sort of bit of wisdom that Gabe gave me the last time I went around for signatures was to get 12 or 15 signatures, because believe it or not everyone's status with the local elections board is as they think. And so you would hate to have a longtime resident forget that they're actually registered in Willow Creek and not here. That was a random example. It doesn't refer to an actual person. But it is incumbent on us to kind of do the legwork and not to make it extra hard on Gabe. So if you are considering, I know we have a small crew tonight, but in your talkings with folks around the community, just make sure that that part is really 12 to 15 names is actually a much better sort of safety net, because it would be unfortunate if you had decided to run for council and then weren't able to on a technicality. So other questions, comments from anyone regarding the elections process? All right, thank you for the update and for keeping all of this in motion. This is big. 60%, 66.6% of our council is up for election. So that's a big deal. So we hope to get some folks interested in running. At this point, rather, this is the end of our regular discussion action agenda items. So at this point, I will call for future agenda items. We just mentioned it 10 minutes ago, but we need something on the next council for consideration, which was
The emergency intertie final agreement.
final agreement. Okay. So you'll have it that soon with all of
Well,
this information that
we
you're
hope that
collecting?
we will. There's not that much, but
Okay.
maybe it, maybe not, but
Right, but we're headed in that direction.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Other agenda items?
The general plan, we got something next, we're gonna have something next month.
We were gonna have the circulation.
Yeah.
So we're expecting the circulation element. If you could just ask our city planner to kind of also in that circulation, but to start with, these are the elements that we've already sent to council, and these are the ones remaining. So the council can get a sense of really what our, and really, if we could include in that the relative size, like some of the elements are relatively easy to discuss and others are much, much larger. So we can kind of get a sense of what's coming. Other agenda items, future agenda items?
I'm hoping that we'll have some signed information next time, so we should have an agenda item signed
From the Trails
from
Committee?
the trails.
Excellent.
We're not gonna meet, we're gonna be doing some things, I think, by then, so I hope we'll have something there.
Trails.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd still like to see how the water up there, make sure we'll have some more information.
Yes.
We should have some big information on water.
Yeah, that's a good sort of marker for everyone, because we'll have this notion from July on what our production versus consumption rate is. And remember, a city standard or municipal standard is somewhere in the 10 to 20% loss. It's been over 20% for much of my time on the council. It would be wonderful to see it closer to the 10%. So it looks like we'll have that information. I won't make any promises with one fix, two fixes, three. We've had 3 fixes in the last month or two, right? Big things.
Yeah. One of them was generated by the project.
Right, but that was also, so, okay.
I'd love to find like a feasibility study and try to get the power lines moved in the city.
The power lines. So what Mr. Tuttle is referring to on Underwood, there's a renewed interest for undergrounding, I think they call it, for bringing the power lines from up above down into the ground. We accrue credits from PG&E through just the normal billing process. We have a small number of credits that can be used to apply towards this, but we should get an update on power line underground. So Eli, if you don't mind reaching out to PG&E, just, I know you have contact.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I checked, they indicated that we didn't have funds.
We don't have enough. I knew that the last time we checked, we didn't have enough money, but we had some. And there was some talk from an effort that Jack had with some of the residents chipping in even for the exploratory costs, right?
Would there be any grant funds available for like view ordinance, because it does block the ocean and for the pedestrians on the street, safety issues on the poles are leaning and creates on my street.
Thoughts, Becky?
I know that power lines are being undergrounded throughout the state, but I believe those funds are prioritizing areas that have much greater fire risk than we have here. And those are the only funds that I've seen for that, but I'm not really, that's not my area that I've been looking for grants in. So I will keep my eyes open.
Okay. Really, Eli, from PG&E, if you could get us kind of even a very brief overview of, cost per foot to underground, right? I mean, we're talking about the equivalent of a city block, I believe, maybe a block and a half. And so, but cost to underground and if there's anything that the citizens can get together in and funding along with the city and these credits that we have routed. So you can get just kind of a ballpark. Thanks for bringing that back. Other agenda items?
But we wanted to put the Churai Management Team Council member in addition to Jack, to have a second council member on the team.
So thank you for bringing that back. That's why I encourage those of us who are able to on Friday to attend the management team 12 to 2. Zoom link to be sent to us shortly. Second wrap.
And then we're looking at the sign ordinance because it needs some revisions. So we'll see what we can possibly bring back in August. But somewhere between August and September, I see it coming back.
Thank you. Yeah, because we're going to have another election in November, and that's what brought this to our attention in the first place, the sign ordinance. So, Ms. Foster Cummington, I see your hand is up.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. On the Churai management team, what was the time and the date of that? And is that is it going to be a virtual meeting, public meeting?
It is a virtual meeting on Friday from 10 till 12.
Okay, wonderful. And did I hear someone say the link would be sent out?
Yeah, we will definitely send that to you.
Okay, and I know the Rancheria would like to be on the agenda in the future. We're going to be requesting the city to affirm the equal status of all tribes, and we discussed that a little bit with the ad hoc team in our government to government meeting. We've been formulating a letter, and I don't know if it will be in time or you'll have those space on your next agenda, but that will be forthcoming as a future request and agenda item.
Thank you for that. I assume you'll be sending that to our city manager.
Yes, I'll send it to Eli. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any last thoughts or future agenda items? Seeing none, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. You want to add something?
Thank you.